Hey guys, Skis here, back with another Bitcoin video. So Bitcoin's currently at 45,900. We actually wicked to 46,300. I think we're kind of selling off right now. Yeah, this is the 15-minute chart, kind of getting a sell off right now, but we're coming off of a pretty big move, around 20% in 17 days. So less than 3 weeks, and we already put in a 20% move. And I think one of the biggest reasons why Bitcoin is actually doing so good and being so strong right now is because of the S&P. And if you guys don't follow the S&P, this is the S&P on the weekly, and you can actually see that we're putting in all-time highs right now, like today. We put in an all-time high today. We've been putting in all-time highs for the past, 3, 4 weeks now. The previous all-time high was back in January of 2022, and it was at 4,823. So this is 2 years right here. And it took us 2 years, but we're currently, at 4,997. We're just under 5,000. I think there's a chance we get to it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so we'll see what happens. But the S&P is being extremely strong right now, and with the S&P literally putting in all-time highs, I think that just means that risk assets are kind of a go, and Bitcoin is a risk asset. So I think that's a really big reason why Bitcoin's actually being so strong right now. And so that actually, ask the question, when is the S&P gonna be not so strong, right? Because if the S&P starts tanking hard, I do think Bitcoin's gonna follow. So when could the S&P actually start, maybe coming down and maybe getting a sell-off? I think that has to do with interest rates, and we've talked about this before. But these numbers do tend to change, by the way. I want to say that, but right now the markets are thinking that the first interest rate cut is going to come in May, like May 1st. It's only a 51.7% chance right now, so it's honestly not even that high. I mean, basically 50% chance. But the last time I spoke about this, the market was actually predicting it to come in March. This number that's now 16.5. I think like when I spoke about it back in December or January, this number was like 70% or something. So you can really see how the markets have changed their view. It's now saying 83.5% chance that we stay the same, like no change in March. And I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. And I don't know for sure if we're to get it in May, because I mean, right now, basically a 50% chance to me isn't that great. And like I said, these numbers change, so it could actually end up changing. But I do think it'll come in May or June. So let's just say May for purposes. So regardless of when it happens, whenever it does happen, I think it'll be in the summer. So I think that the S&P will be fine until interest rates cut, because that's typically what we see. I've gone over it before, so I don't really want to go over it again because it might take a while. But historically speaking, and I mean like these moves right here, like this move right here was off of interest rates coming down. This move right here was off of interest rates coming down, right? So if we're gonna get, a big move like this when interest rates are coming down, the markets are predicting it to be later this year. It may be in like early summer, right before the summer, maybe during the summer, but regardless, the markets are. It's gonna happen in my opinion this summer, you know, and if we're gonna get a move down, then I think that Bitcoin's gonna get a move down during that time as well. And that means that we have time, in my opinion. I think Bitcoin has time to just continue going up. We do have the halving. This purple line is the halving. It's in April. Right now it's in April 22nd. It does tend to change a little bit. Right now it's April 22nd. That's not even that far away. I mean, it's about 73 days away. Typically, Bitcoin does see some sort of sell off before the halving. But I think in 20. Let's actually quickly go over it. These are all the previous halvings. You can see, in 2020, this was the COVID drop, but Bitcoin did drop 63% right before the halving, like a month or two before the halving. Actually, like 3 months before the halving. in 2016, we actually got a sell off before it and after it, right? So we got two sell offs. But we did get a sell off after it as well. 25% before it, 31% after it. And that actually, 25% is actually kind of similar to what we've already gotten now. We actually are coming off of a 21% sell off. This move right here is 21%. So maybe that is enough. And, Bitcoin just continues going up because the S&P is doing really well. And it's just, constantly going up. And then after the halving, like 2016, because the S&P is selling off, then maybe Bitcoin gets its sell off. And I still think that there is a really big risk that Bitcoin is going to get a pretty big sell off before the real bull market starts, because I don't really see any world where Bitcoin goes to like 100K, and I do think 100K is going to happen this bull market without any significant sell off to scare people out. Like, because I mean, that's just not how Bitcoin just doesn't do that, right? Like, Bitcoin isn't something that just goes in one direction. I mean, you might be like thinking like this is basically up, but some of these moves are pretty big and scary. Like I said, this one was 21%. This move right here, 21. This one right here, 20. And this one here, 22. So honestly, like, we've just been getting like 20 to 21% sell-offs like consistently. I mean, this was all in 2023 and this one's in 2024. So we've just been getting like 20% sell-offs. Don't really know why Bitcoin's only doing 20%, but that's what we've been getting so far. I don't even think that's enough to scare people. I mean, like you said, like the COVID drop was 63%. And I know that was COVID, but like that is something that would scare you, right? Like, for example, if we got a 63% drop right now from where we are, I mean, that is taking us down. That takes us back down to literally the bear market lows. I mean, that's like something that's scary, right? So I do think Bitcoin will get another sell-off. I don't really know when, but there are a couple of levels that I think that are important to just like talk about real quick, just in case we ever are at those levels, because you don't want to really be scared when it's time to buy, right? So the first level to me is 38K. Basically this where we wicked right here and where Bitcoin couldn't break up before we got the huge move up here. I do think Bitcoin will come back down to, this level again. And that's just the first level I'm really looking at. And the second level that I want to talk about is actually 32K, like basically this box between 28 and 32. And the reason I think this area is really important, I'm going to flip to the weekly, is because 32 to 28K is kind of like the bull market support, you could almost say. This was the bull market in 2021. And you can see when we came up the first time and we got a sell-off, we basically bounced at 28K, and then Bitcoin put in its all-time high right here at 65K. Then we got a massive sell-off again, but Bitcoin only came back down to 28 to 32K. And then we bounced up and we put in another all-time high. This one was at 69K. And then, we kind of got a sell-off again. But even when we came back down to it, we did kind of fight here for like a month, but we did ultimately lose it. You got to remember, like, a lot of things were going on at this time. Like, Luna was collapsing. Like, a lot of things were collapsing here. And it took something as big as Luna to collapse, because Luna was really big, and it took something that big to collapse to actually break this level. And then we were in bear market territory, in my opinion, here. And then we couldn't get above it. This was all in 2023. You can see how many times we tried. Tried it here, tried it for like 2 months here, couldn't get above it, kept getting rejected. And then we finally got above it. And I think that coming all the way back down here, not only would it kind of scare a lot of people, I mean, because coming back down to it right now is like a 30 to 32% drop, right? Like, all the way down to it is like 37. So 30 to 37% drop. I do think that would actually scare a lot of people out of the markets too. And that's something that Bitcoin would typically do before actually, putting in a huge move. Like, imagine if Bitcoin like tanked, like, let's say we go up a little bit more and then we just like tank down, and then we like just like climb our way back up, like, and like, we're off. Like, that's just kind of typical like Bitcoin behavior. So it's something I'm looking out for. I don't really know if we're gonna come back down to here, but I will say like if we ever are at like 20 to 32K, this is probably like the best chance you're gonna get to buy Bitcoin. I don't think we're breaking below it. I don't think Bitcoin goes below this box anymore. So if we ever find ourselves here, I think it's a good time to buy, or the best time to buy. So yeah, guys, that's just an update on Bitcoin. Like I said, just a quick recap. I think Bitcoin's gonna be fine because the S&P is gonna be fine. Or as long as the S&P is fine, I think Bitcoin will be fine, and I think the S&P is gonna be fine until interest rate comes down, and those aren't gonna be coming down until like May. So we'll see what happens. I think that it's gonna be difficult to take out 49K, but we'll just see what Bitcoin does, because if it really wants to, it's gonna do it. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.